It seems logical to begin by talking about the formal conceit of the film. The 13 pans, uh, tracing this arc from Austria to the Amazon. Um, could could you tell us a bit about the derivation of that concept or that structure?
You are asking for the formal or for the main or for the first idea
Uh,
of the.
I don't know. I guess just I was curious in the about the let me rephrase it then. What came first? The movement from the one place to the other, or the structure of the 13 long takes, the 13 pans.
Yeah, so the first idea was to cut this tree and to bring a let's say a tree from the deep countryside of Europe into the middle of the Amazon. So this was the action, or yes, what what for example what gives me a lot of energy because I wanted to do this is a kind of maybe let's say a visual artist intervention. And after this, we started to think about how we can shoot this movie. And I did this research trip 3 times. So I went 3 times or two research trip 2 times, and third time was when we were shooting. And I got more and more interested in the places. So in the place, what is surrounding us, what we need, what we build up to have all these possibilities of to transport stuff. Yes. Mm.
And um, but then at what point does the visual idea come to you to render that that intervention in this very because it's a very there's real rigor and there's real commitment. So
Yes, I was very interested on. There is a bit of story when I was searching the cinematographer. I always told first I need and I would like to work with a cameraman, but in fact I would like to have a camera where you can't feel the human being behind, because I was interested in a let's say in an image what is kind of neutral, or what gives everything the same value. So because of this, this is a turning head we made specially to shoot this movie, and it's always the same velocity, it's always the same objective, it's always the same. So and this is also related a bit to the ending point of this movie, because we are somehow connecting to I don't know how to say in English to ideas of a world view of our society. Like this, the movie started in a Catholic Benedictine monastery forest, and it ends in this place where the people have more the idea of that everything is the same, or this animistic perspectivism idea of living together with nature like this. And I think the this camera we had, or this formal idea that we give everything, if it's interesting or not, the same velocity, the same perspective, the same is related to this. Yes.
and at the same time that there's a movement from uh, the one place to the other, the one idea of a culture or a society to another. Maybe moving from one idea of nature to another. Even there's also I know throughout the film I think there's a real tension between let's say like stasis and movement, because the camera's moving but the position is fixed. And I was very struck. I was very struck by that, and I was curious whether that was on both of your minds while you were making the film, because of course you could have chosen a different camera movement that would involve the camera actually navigating the physical space. So was this tension at all something that you were thinking about?
I think there was this before we decided to make it this way. We had a lot of talks about what Daniel already mentioned. His feeling that it would be nice to have a camera which is kind of objective, kind of scientific, maybe anthropologic in the view, something which is maybe more scanning and mainly not judging, even not judging in terms of what's interesting. If a human person is moving a camera, it's automatically we would go slow. Every one of us maybe on a different point, but we would go slower when something is interesting, and we would go faster when something is not so interesting for us. But we would do this before we actually look, because it was then this expression also that I found out that we constantly, when we are moving as humans, it's from A to B. We are going somewhere, and on this way we are looking around. It's almost nobody of us, I think, or at least I observed by myself. Before this movie, I never looked about on the world that surrounds me or the spaces from one point and give everything the same value. It's always, maybe you have 180 because you look front and left and right, but never back. And even when you look 360, you have moved your point. And we thought this could be kind of interesting to force yourself or give yourself the chance or the audience to give everything the same value, which was then, from my perspective as a cinematographer, also very interesting. And we just talked before, that was generally, we are doing a lot of things in this movie which are the opposite of what you normally do as a filmmaker. And this was a very interesting process, I think, and I learned a lot to do it, because I'm used, for example, to make it more. You find your position for the camera in one direction. Then you have a picture and you like it and it's good, or what you know. Then in our situation, you look in the other direction and it's not working. Then you have to reframe. Then you look back and then you have a third direction. So in a way, I have the feeling where the camera is finally standing in this concept, it's kind of not only framed from me, it's the space who is framing me, or me as a cinematographer, or the camera, because it's kind of like a turning, what is it when you the directions are pushing me on a certain point from where there is kind of a common possibility to look to all sides. So in a way, I had the feeling the space decides where the camera stands.
And it brings somehow you as an audience in the center of the place, no? Because the camera is on one place and it's turning on their own axis. So when you are watching this movie, you are in the center of this place and you are observing what is surrounding you. Yes, and yes, and I think it was very important for me that you get the possibility to choose, or that I think everybody has his own Bevorzugung, preference. So it was not the idea to go with the camera as they do, or there are many movies like this. They want to tell you how it is, or what is good and bad,
Right.
and all this. Yes. So it's.
Well, I was also I was surprised given the role of the body, of the human body in the film. We often we see people at a distance most often. It's not that the body is absent from the film, but it's in some way it feels de-emphasized. And so I was surprised to learn that your background is in performance. So I was I thought it would be interesting to ask you what what sort of relevance you think your work in performance and so on, how that comes to bear here.
Because you think that this all was documentary?
Wait, sorry?
No. I can say yes. But this for me it comes a lot together. What I did the last 100,000 years. No, the last 30 years, because I started, or I'm a visual artist, and then I started to work. I have a kind of a company in Vienna, and I work with. I make stage pieces with dancers and performers. And in the movie, I think there comes a lot together, because it's a choreography. It's choreographed. It's staged. So this is the same what we do on the stage. And there is also something for me very similar, because when we make stage pieces and when you watch a stage piece, you also have to choose, because there's something going on the left and on the right. So you have to, as an audience, you have to choose. And in this movie is somehow the same situation. So there are some, for me, important connections to this. And you were asking, no, but on the other hand, what you were asking about human body in the movie, I really think I try to treat the human body like every other grass or like this. I don't want to put them in the center of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Also, the main protagonist is a
tree.
Yeah, it's a tree, but it's but also this pile of wood is not really. We are not really focused on this. Yes, in many scenes it's 10 seconds or something like this. So
yeah. Well, maybe we can open it up to the audience for questions. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. We'll bring you a microphone. We'll start right here. Wait, well, hold on 1 second. He'll bring you a microphone.
How did you get the tempo so even? How did you do that? And for such a long distance, starting and then, I mean, where were you? I mean, what kind of a vehicle was it? What kind of a machine was it to get that of a spectacular length? And in the water like that, and then in the trucks?
We built a kind of a remote head. So it was on a tripod, and it was a system which was able to move the camera extremely slow. This was one of the reasons that we said we wanted to avoid that that we give everything the same value, means that it had to be a machine.
Right, but
And
where did
you
put it? How did it move?
no, it's not. It's really. It's not. It's only turning. It's on one spot, and it's turning 360 degrees.
Really?
Yes,
And
on their own axis, so the camera is turning like this. It's quite, in fact, it's quite simple.
in fact, it's quite simple, but because I mean there are a lot of reasons. We also have chosen kind of a lens which is only showing you a part, so that's why you kind of lose the orientation. So some people, for example, you're not the first one. Some people have sometimes the feeling that it's a track and not a pen.
When you say pan, you're thinking the circular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes it feels like that it's that it's a track. Um, um, and also, I guess some people told us, or I also feel it, that the speed is changing. Sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's faster. But that's not technically it's not true. It's always the same speed, but it has to do with the distance to objects, which changes the feeling of speed for us. But it's
When the object is nearer, then it feels slower. When something is far away, then it feels faster. That was quite amazing because we didn't know this. So it's kind of briefing, but the velocity of the turning head is always the same, exactly the same.
so the camera is on every location on one specific point, just looking in all directions in the same speed.
It's amazing that it can see so much.
Because that's what I mean before with this forced, because we it forces you to watch, or it gives you the possibility, as you want to say. We made a lot of tests to find the right speed, because the size of the screen also makes a difference, and we wanted to find a speed which is able in both directions to work. And it was very interesting because the first tests we did it. We live in the same street, in the same house where the studio of the company is,
Yeah.
and we did it actually in front of our door. We went out and did it in our street, and then
we started with 4.5 minutes for 360 degrees, and then we went to the biggest cinema in Vienna to show this, to watch these tests. And I think after 5 or 10 minutes, we were totally seasick. It was amazing. It was really like, whoa. And then after this, we went for a coffee, and still 30 minutes later, we felt a bit like, oh, everything is shaking. Then, yeah, we had to take a decision if maybe it would be fantastic to make a movie like this that after 10 minutes everybody goes out. But then we made other tests because we thought the topic is more interesting when the people stay until the end.
But what I also liked on this test was kind of a side effect I didn't expect. We watched it then with people, with other people, and these have been mostly people they know the street. They are working in this company, so people they go there every day. And then there was a reaction. Oh, have you seen this graffiti on the wall? Or where is it? Where did you shoot it? And where's this shop? So actually, everyone started to see things. They see it's their street, but we never watch. So that's what I mean with when it forces you to really observe what surrounds you.
Yeah, but it's because we go mostly linear through this world, no? So we walk, we have a way. We are not used to look or to watch what is surrounding us a bit. And we are always choosing. When we walk to the street, we are always choosing this and this and this.
And choosing also means, in a way, and that was surprising for me, it also means judging in the first instance, because we actually are used to, we decide what we think it's interesting or not before we really look. So because that's why we a lot of things we are not seeing. And in the best case, I think in this experiment of this movie, you come to the point that you start to trust even something. I mean, yeah, I understand. Normally, we don't look on a wall for 3 minutes on a highway. But then it's becoming interesting when you start to see things and you go into details, and when you have the time to watch, then you start, then you begin to see things.
Wait, what we should? I'm sorry. We should move on. Wait, could you hold on 1 second while we bring you a microphone?
I don't have a question. I just want to make a compliment to you two because
But we wanna use a microphone for that too.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a compliment for you two because I thought it was very pure and very calm, and you can focus tremendously because then you realize in most of the other movie how the camera movement can be such a distraction. That's what I loved about your movie, because it's totally calm and you can focus very well. So it's a compliment for you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. We'll go right back there.
So I really enjoyed the 360-degree method of shooting this, and I wanted to know, do you see yourself exploring this concept with more things as far as how food is grown and how that will, link from this place to a far-off land, or how trash can originate in one area and then end up in another country? Do you see yourself exploring it with more concepts?
Ob ich mit anderen, mit neuen Arbeiten dasselbe mache? Your question is for new projects, or if I would
Yeah, so with the
work more with this
this method
technique, with this method?
Yeah, so
Yes. No, I'm a bit insecure. No, I applied for a project development 3 weeks ago, and I got a bit of money. And for sure, it was written in this concept that I will work again with this technique or with this method. And yes, I would. This new idea is a bit. I would like to bring together a bit what I was working the last 12 years with this in this performance family, because there are some really amazing people there. They're doing strange things. So I would like to work with them, and formally, I would have again this 360 grid. Grids. Yes.
Actually, I'm going to ask a final question, and it's you'll have to forgive me because it's perhaps a bit lame. Could you tell us about the significance of the title? Because in the American context, yes, it evokes Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau, but I believe in German, Wald is wood, maybe, or no?
Forest.
Yeah,
forest.
Wald is forest. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. In German, it has a bit a double meaning. But the title is because of the book of Henri Thoreau, and it's I think Henri Thoreau did quite a precise view on our society at his time, and I think this movie does it too. And on the other hand, he was also one of the first. He was talking about this civil disobedience. And I think this movie does it somehow also a bit, because to do something in reverse is quite difficult. So to bring this wood from Europe to the Amazon, I had to convince many people. I had to explain this story to many people, and yes, I really love to do this because for example, I imagine always this guy in the first scene who was cutting the tree. He's working since 30 years in this monastery forest, cutting trees. So for sure I explained him the whole story where this tree will go. So then I imagined he will go home after cutting this tree, and he was very happy to be in. He didn't understand it very well, but he was like, wow, it goes to Brazil in the Amazon like this. So for me it's quite nice to get in contact with an idea like this with people they are not really connected to such actions or things. And I imagined always when he goes home now and he has dinner with his family and he tells them, hey, today I cut a tree, and he will go to the Brazil. So yes. So, but it was to do something reverse is on the opposite way is there are some difficulties. It was, I said also, in Brazil we had to wait, I think, 4 days or 1 week for our main protagonist. So I always said it was quite also somehow difficult, maybe like Klaus Kinski with yes.
All right, that's all we have time for. But thank you both.
There are many stories. We had many stories. So
we can all hang out
thank you
outside.
very much.